Howdy, this is Kevin Sukow, the Director of Facilities and Grounds for the Sun Prairie Area School District. This presentation is going to be about Operational Expectation 12, which deals with the facilities of the district. We'll go through the summary of compliance status and then walk through the monitoring report itself. This item will come before the board on the June 26, 2023 school board meeting. So to start off with, OE12 is a expectation laid out. There are 8 different sections to the to OE12, each with its own individual set of measurements. Out of the 22 measures in OE12, come before you with a result of 21 of those being in compliance, 1 not being in compliance. Therefore, because 1 is not in compliance, we are bringing forward a summary that says we are not in compliance with OE12. Looking down at the highlights and the areas of challenge or areas of focus, we see that things that we highlight in the OE12 are creating our 10-year capital maintenance and improvement plan to forecast our needs for 10 years out. This allows us to budget or forecast our budget and what needs will be for 10 years out. It also helps us plan and communicate what projects we are undertaking and prioritize those projects. We also use competitive bidding to help make sure that we're getting the best deal, and also to give us options to evaluate life cycles and make sure that we're making the best selection for the district when we go out for an equipment or building project. We utilize surveys and other data points that we can gather to help us assess how we're doing, especially when it comes to school cleanliness and maintenance. And then we also round with administrators, both to make sure that we're meeting the expectations for care of the building and maintenance of the building, as well as to determine what the needs of the building are for curricular delivery or for making sure that we're meeting the needs of the students and the activities that happen in each building. An area of focus that was identified was we have 1 measure that was not in compliance. This was item 12.3, where we talk about our work order completion. In the 2022-23 school year, we did not meet our district annual target. The target has always been either identified in the scorecard, or it has been that we would meet or exceed the number from the year before. In 21-22, we had an average work order day outstanding of 5.9 days. In the 2023 school year, we are experiencing a 7.2 day work order day outstanding. So we did not meet our target. We're a little bit higher. One thing that I think is important, though, is to dive into the data that's attached to the monitoring report. And you can see that of the work orders, while the number is higher, still a majority of the work orders are completed in 5 days or less, and more than half of them are completed in under 3 days. So we're still meeting a large need of completing work orders immediately, especially emergency work orders. And what we're seeing is that there's some work orders that lag for over 100 days, whether that is due to material procurement or just being able to get time, or maybe it's a lower priority project. But we saw that there were about 1.5% of our work orders were over 100 days. And that has a significant impact on those numbers. So with that, I'll switch over to the monitoring report and kind of walk you through it. I won't click into any of the links, but there are a bunch of supporting documents attached to that you can look at to see how we came up with our determination of whether we were compliant or not in compliance for each measure. It talks about Operation OE12. OE 12.1, the first section, talks about our capital maintenance planning and making sure that we are keeping our buildings in good conditions, that the places are safe and good for students to be in, that we're planning for replacement of items. We're not waiting for them to fail, and that we are looking for future needs of the buildings and trying to adjust them in a capital maintenance and improvement plan. So out of 12.1, there are 7 measures, and we are saying that we are compliant in all of them. Some highlights to this are our capital maintenance project, the capital maintenance and improvement project plan that we forecast for 10 years worth of improvements, and then take that to the school board and get approval for it to show that the board's on the same plan and that we have the same set of priorities. Item or measure 2 basically says that we are looking at life cycle and other considerations when capital improvements or capital projects are capital equipment is purchased. And we do that by utilizing competitive bidding. We also make sure that we bid multiple products. We don't just go out to one company for the most part and say, or at least with these projects, we make sure that we evaluate different models, different manufacturers and things to make sure that we're choosing the one that's the best fit for the district. Price often plays into how we make our decisions, but not all the decisions are completely cost based on cost. Section 3 talks about our that we keep our facility safe, clean, and properly maintained. So this is the area where I did mention the work order days outstanding and how we were not in compliant because we went from 5.9 in 21-22 to 7.2 in 22-23. Not to take away from the fact that we were not in compliance, but if you click into these links, you will see that we in 22-23 we had about just under 1,000 more work orders put into the system than we did the year before. And also with 22-23, there was a lot of time from the facilities and grounds department invested in the opening and the operation of our West High School and the renovated Central Heights and Prairie Phoenix Academy buildings, especially in the first, I would say the first semester of the school year. So while our work order average days number is higher, I think there is a reason that those numbers are higher, and it's a justifiable reason. It wasn't deficiency in work on anybody's standpoint. It was just the amount of work that was taken on and required in the early part of the school year. And I think that's shown by measure 3 and 4 as well, where we saw that our scores on both the parent and caregiver survey, as well as the staff engagement survey, both saw increases from 21-22 to the 22-23 school year. For section 4 talks about the grounds of the district and that we maintain our grounds in a safe, clean, and adequate manner. We do this through meeting with principals and other staff and talking about what the concerns are, what the needs are for their properties. And then we also make sure that our playground equipment is inspected monthly to maintain safety. Section 5 talks about the facility use of our buildings. We have a policy, KG, which deals with the school community use. Actually, we're bringing this to you for an update at the 26th meeting as well. But we have the policy, and then we also establish fees and assess them as needed for use of our facilities. I encourage you to click into the links under measure 2 and look at how much our buildings are used by community use or just what our buildings are used. I will say that the hours reported, I believe in 22-23, it's over 30,000 hours of building use. I just want to say that does take into account athletic use of our facilities And then it also takes into account anytime the like the gyms are blocked out for rollerblading units or things like that where other people can't rent them. So it encompasses every request that's made, but that's still an extremely high amount of use. That means that not only are students getting to use our buildings, but also the community is as well. Section 6 says that the superintendent may not build or significantly renovate buildings without the approval of the school board. And, we've done a little bit of that in the last couple of years. Attached are some of the projects that are highlighted. In the 22-23 school year, projects that were brought to the school board for approval because they were over $250,000 or more were the GMP for the renovations to East High School, the off-roadway improvements that were needed to be made as a result of the construction of Sun Prairie West, the demolition contracts for Prairie Phoenix Academy and houses on around the Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium facility, and then our middle school playground installations. Measure 7 says that we will not buy land without going through due process and getting the approval of the school board and our electors. In the 22-23 school year, we did not make any land purchases. And finally, in section 8, it says that even if the school board has allowed us to get into a contract agreement, we won't, that if there's a change order of $250,000 or more, or the project is significantly changed, we would need to go back to the school board for approval. The two areas that we did that were we made amendments to our contract with Findorf that we entered into in 2019 for our secondary referendum projects. We entered into contract changes with them. Number one, for the GMP amendment to do the renovation work at Sun Prairie East. And then we also went with them for the demolition of the old PPA building and the associated structures. So with that, that's the monitoring report for OE12 that helped us come to the result that we showed of being not in compliance. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer any, and I will be at the meeting to present on this as well. Thank you very much and have a great day.